Welcome to episode 193 of Stageworthy. I'm your host, Phil Rickaby, and it is time for the second Fringe roundtable discussion here on the last Saturday of the Toronto Fringe. We'll go around the table starting on my right, and everybody can say who you are and what your show is.
Ang pangalan I'm Monica. My name is Monica. That's Tagalog. And my show is Monica versus the Internet, Tales of a Social Justice Warrior, and my pronouns are she, her, and they, them.
My name is Madeline Brown, and I am with Newsplay, and my pronouns would be she and her.
I'm Carlin Ramey. I'm doing the ADHD project, pronouns she, her.
Hi, I'm Shane Dumchuck. I'm doing a show called The Ballad of Frank Allen.
My name is Phil. I am the host of Stageworthy, and I'm doing a show called The Commandment. My pronouns are he, him. And so here we are. It is way too early in Fringe time. It's 9:30, which, I don't know, is like the middle of the night for some people during Fringe. But, you know, here we are. It's the last Saturday. There's really only today and tomorrow left. So how has the Fringe been for you guys, like, generally?
I feel like I've been in Toronto for about 4 years.
Yeah, it does.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Time has stopped having any meaning for me.
Yeah.
But how, like, anybody else? Any other thoughts about how the Fringe has been so far? Like,
Well, I flew out from Victoria on June 22nd. Mm-hmm. So I have really been here, like, in Ontario at least, for a long time.
Yeah, you have.
So I'm like, all right, I think I've, like, hit my Ontario time.
You've done enough.
I was in Sudbury for a while, like, you know.
Also, I mean, I think we met on like a really humid, muggy day, and you were like, "We don't have weather like this."
No.
And I'm like, "You're lucky."
Yeah, well, we have ocean breeze and like air that doesn't hate me.
Yeah.
Well, and this Fringe in particular, I think, has been hot. And I was talking with my director the other day. I don't think we've had like a rain day really so far. Like there's been previous last year. I remember the tent getting that sort of flooded out, and this year it's just been persistent.
There was one day. It was last Saturday.
Yeah.
It did pour with rain for a while. As I was coming out of Destiny USA, it started to pour, and it also had my favorite Fringe moment with an usher as people were running in, because there were two shows about to begin, and this usher standing in the doorway saying, "Are you here fuck women or fuck boys? Fuck boys? Fuck women or fuck boys? Fuck boys? Are you for fuck boys? Did you want to see fuck boys? Are you fuck women or fuck boys?" And I was just like, this is my favorite Fringe show right now, so far, right here.
The only context you can get away with that question.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think there's any other place where people will be asking that particular question, or I hope not anyway. So how have your houses been? How have we can talk about like reviews and things like that later on, but how have like your audiences been?
How do you feel about me flipping this table?
We're not gonna flip this table.
Okay, cool.
We're not gonna flip the table. Not gonna flip the table,
All right.
but thank you, I appreciate it.
You're the boss.
Yeah. How have your audiences been, guys?
Yeah, look, it's been good. Like we've had, for like, especially for a show from out of town, I think we've done quite well here. So we've had good people in. We had a few nice reviews early on, which definitely helped us. We had some like fun matinees. They were good. It's nothing like a Thursday at 2:15 in the afternoon. Prime time for all those people that have no jobs, I guess.
We had the same thing yesterday. We had our smallest crowd. Still a good crowd, but I actually think we went into it so prepared of like, it's going to be a small house.
Yeah.
But they were our most supportive audience.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. I think people can read a room where it's like, oh, it's, you know, it's a bit small.
They got nothing else to do.
Yeah. So they're into it. You know?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm in a nice, like, intimate space, like, through past one backspace. So it's
I
like,
love the backspace.
Yeah, it's 55 seats. It's easy to fill up. So, like, house-wise, it's been really good. They were a bit quiet at the start of the festival, but then they've just gotten rowdier and rowdier, which is really fun.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Monica, how about you?
Yeah, we've had like full houses every time, which blows my mind considering it's a show that challenges white people. And yeah, the fact that we're not from here and like we didn't really have much hype going into the festival, but we got some incredible reviews, like written by both like folks of color and white people, like really reflecting on themselves, and what they see reflected. So yeah, I'm like really happy. And it was like different from what everyone told me. They were like, oh, you're not from here? Good luck.
I mean, they don't even put where you're from in the program anymore though. So I don't think that's so much of an issue.
Yeah, they tried that this year. They were telling me that they changed it.
Yeah, well, which is good, but I don't think that it's ever really been that the audiences aren't willing to support out-of-town shows. It's that they just don't hear about them because the media doesn't promote out-of-town shows for the most part.
I will say this, so I was flying a lineup and I mentioned that I was from Australia, and a woman said, and I quote, "I didn't think that people from not Toronto were allowed to be in this festival." I was like, oh no, this is bad for me.
You're just a rule breaker.
Yeah. That is just, you should have just told her, don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
It's a secret. Monica, your show, in terms of those houses, have you found a mix between white people and people of color? Because your show is so challenging to white people, I'm wondering, like, how has that dynamic been in the room?
Oh, there's been some quiet shows, which is always funny. The last time I did this show, which was 2 years ago, it was a very different version. We would wait for the like seat squeaks at a certain point because everyone is just like, oh my god, like so uncomfortable, and I love it. Like, I think I'm like fueled by white discomfort. But yeah, the drastic difference that there is. Like the Tita Collective all came to my show one day, and then through the Bamboo cast came. It changes the audience completely when it's like predominantly folks of color. Yesterday, the entire front row, except for one person who was very uncomfortable the whole time, was people of color, and it was like so soul fulfilling, like the difference that it makes in the house, and like I mean every show is different. For this show, we did an ASL interpreted show, and that was a very quiet house, very different, and we had to change a lot of the blocking, so I think it changed the show.
Do you know if it was if there were a number of people who were deaf and hard of hearing in the audience, and that was why it was quiet? Or?
I don't know. Like from what Scott, our interpreter, was saying, he wasn't sure that anyone was accessing his interpretation, so we weren't sure. Like, we hope that maybe there were some folks, but I didn't really see, like, very much promotion of the accessible shows. Like, I saw it at first, but then it kind of, like, fell off the queue or something. Yeah. And at other festivals I've been to, because there's like such a lack of accessibility, any accessible shows, whether it's ASL or Relaxed Performance or whatever it is, they're like really put to the forefront of the marketing. Yeah. So I don't know if I just missed it, but yeah,
some fringes aren't great with it. When I did one in London, I was like, I emailed them to be like, can you just like send a tweet out about it? And I don't even think they did. So it's like,
I think it strikes me as the thing they were talking about before Fringe, but then I didn't hear anything about accessible shows, except from people, the performers and the artists. Right. That was, so the Fringe like seemed to say, we would like you to do this, and then didn't really promote them at all.
Well, not to the right communities.
No.
And that's the thing, I always forget, because I wear my producer hat for Newsplay, but I'm also an actor in Red Nose, a play on words. And that's a clown show at Al Green with a performance troupe made up of actors, adult actors with developmental disabilities. And that's one where we've been doing it, this is our third year. And from the get-go, we've always done, everything is touched to it. Like, we've always had an accessible thing each performance. And that is one where it's a community that, like, our audiences, I would say, are made up of people who are accessing those things. But again, we're in touch with that community. So they're naturally going to find it in that way. I don't know on a larger scale how that would reach out. Certainly with Newsplay, we haven't done any of the accessible measures, and I wouldn't say that. And I would say that it reflects on our audience.
I chatted with, because I couldn't afford the price that the Fringe was offering for ASL shows, but I got in touch with an ASL interpreter just a little bit too late for this Fringe. So in the end, we were talking, and I was like, would it be worth it to just do one of the last shows? There's only a couple tickets though. Is it better to actually just do, like, come to Toronto, do a 3-day run, an ASL each day? Would that be something you're into? And she was like, that'll work way better. She's like, you'll be able, like, it'll be more like accessible to the right community, because I don't know if Fringe is if people see Fringe as for everybody.
No.
Whether you're putting one ASL show in or a relaxed performance or not.
Yeah. No, that is really hard. I mean, one of the things that I was noticing as Fringe was getting going and as it was running was that their advertising it was entirely about postscripts. I didn't see a single advertisement.
What's postscript?
I know that's the Fringe patio, the not tent. And
The not tent.
it would have like because that's all that they advertised. There was nothing about the rest of the festival. There was nothing about theater. It was just like postscript, and I was like, but that's just the bar.
What about after?
What about the theater? And then we go to the bar. You know, I almost felt like it's almost the danger is. That you might end up with a situation like the Fringe Park in Montreal, where there's bands all the time. People go to see that, but nobody who goes to that is there for the theater.
Right? Do they even know what's going on? The theater?
No, they just there for the bands. If you try to flyer them, they're like, "No, I'm here for the band."
That's very similar to the Adelaide Beer Festival, Adelaide Fringe Festival. Where they just have a huge park where everyone says, "Oh, we're going to the Fringe," because they're allowed to go drink in a park, which is not a thing in Australia, right? And there's big carnival rides and stuff, and it's real fun, but no one's seen any of the shows that are there, and it's a bummer.
Yeah. Well, it's like Edmonton, where there's a significant number of people who go to the Edmonton Fringe. And they think it's like a beer garden and buskers and food trucks, and they don't know that there's any theaters.
You can go inside.
Go inside where there's air conditioning and also see a show. Yeah, you know, which is kind of a weird thing. I do think that one thing they improved on this year is the fact that you could buy tickets inside the patio.
Yeah.
Which last year it was like this tiny little tiki thing outside, which was so hard to like. Even see. People would be going to postscript, they walk right past it, and you'd be like telling people about your show and go, you can buy tickets, but go out here and around the
Oh, right.
It was just like such a bad placement for it. So
it's some sort of artist hub, isn't it?
It is now, but I don't know if anybody's actually.
I don't know what that means in some ways.
No, clear because in other places, like an artist hub is like a place where you can get some water, get some coffee, get a drink, relax a little bit, and this just looked like it was a tent and some volunteers.
No, I haven't even heard of this.
I know. I saw it for the first time yesterday.
There's like a sign on it. It's like, oh, okay. So I heard they were doing an artist hub. I was like, oh, that's great, a place for. And then I saw it and I was like, oh,
it's just shaded.
But inside a tent, which in the heat, is
just
it's just like a sauna.
There was iced tea at one
was there?
point.
Oh, was there?
But like, I don't know. I didn't
so
take
freaking
one.
easy to
It was
please.
fun.
We're just like iced tea.
Yes.
Was it free?
Please. All right. Let's talk about reviews. Yeah, I know. It's like it's a big one. In the past couple of years, there's been a lot of pushback from artists about reviews. I think it started the first time I saw it was last year, and there were a number of reviews that people generally agreed were unfair. One, there was an autistic artist who was doing a show about his autism, and he got sort of like savaged in one of the reviews, and there was a lot of feedback on that. And so that was one of the first campaigns of like this sort of thing. And this year, I'm noticing a lot more of people willing to call out reviews that were unfair.
Choice of Drink was a great example of that.
Yeah, Drink of Choice.
Drink of Choice. Yeah. Oh god.
Yeah. Well, that was.
Yeah.
There was something commented on in their review, and it was the reviewer apologized. He was unaware. Like he has to call it as he sees it, but it would have been he didn't know what was happening there, that it was planned. Maybe he didn't get there early enough or something.
Yeah.
But he also didn't have to mention it.
No, he didn't.
That's what I thought. I read that.
Assume.
Yeah.
Because how did he know?
Yeah.
I mean, did it affect the show? I mean, if the performer handled it deftly, you don't even need to really comment on it. It's just like
exactly,
the show was good. Did that particular thing, does that affect somebody else going to see the show? No.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any thoughts on reviews?
Reviews make me laugh wholeheartedly, mostly because I get racist ones. So that is hilarious. I was very pleasantly surprised by the not racist reviews I got here. I was like, yes, I've made it. Yeah, exactly. Like the first review that came out was by a Filipina person. And that was like, oh, my heart just exploded. Yeah. There was only for us one review that had a hilarious racist element to it. And I think it's mostly like, I don't think they really realized how bad it sounded, but it was like a positive review. It was from Now Magazine. Everybody's favorite right now. And this person was like, they have a lot of harsh views on white feminism, which white feminism is just another word for white supremacy. So if you switch that word out, because the general public, I guess, might not understand, then... Oh, I'm sorry Now Magazine that I have harsh views on white supremacy. Like, what does that even mean? And so we laughed really hard and we thought, oh, when we leave this city, we're like really gonna milk that because the show's about internet trolls and white people not understanding it. So we're definitely gonna use that. And apparently we have inflammatory opinions such as racism is real. So, you know, inflammatory, my God.
Oh, no!
Like, and so that was just, like, to me, it's funny now, and I have to, like, make humor out of these, like, things that people say, but a part of my show is talking about, like, there's a point in which I state that white people don't have any business reviewing, like, shows of color if they aren't willing to be accountable to white supremacy that put them in that position. That's almost word for word what I say. And I truly believe that, like, the theater reviewing landscape is overwhelmingly white, overwhelmingly oppressive. And I mean, so is a lot of theater, too, if we're really looking at it. Yeah. So for most of, like, what we think of as Canadian theater history, which is, like, white Canadian theater history, white people haven't minded because they've never had, like, reviews that commented really on their identity or whatever. Like, there's lots of other facets of that, but, like, when it comes down to it, it's just super white. And, so... I think that I'm going to have a fun time going across the country and really bringing this to people's minds that, like, obviously reviews aren't everything, and, like, positive reviews and actual critical reviews are, like, great. But, like, what's the point if a review is just trying to tear down, like, marginalized artists, or if reviews are only holding up certain kinds of artists, like white artists, able-bodied artists? Like, what does that mean? It just means that we're upholding the kinds of representation that we've always seen, you know? And I think that's bullshit, so. There
have been years, I mean, there have definitely been years when you could really use the hashtag fringe so white.
Oh, yeah.
I think we used it in 2016 in Toronto.
But, you know, and I'm going to say this year is pretty good, but it's also, comparatively, out of 151 shows, how many of those shows feature people of color? It's not awesome.
There's always Derek Cho always puts up that list of like women or female identifying artists, and it's always an amazingly great number. So I too would be curious if he did the reverse.
Yeah, you know, well, just like a people of color list, you know, because just to say, like, here are some shows that are also should be supported,
and shows that aren't tokenizing people either. I think I've seen some bad tokenization at this festival so far of, like, we've got one person of color in our cast. Wow, let's put them in the front, like, all our marketing, blah, blah, blah. But when it comes down to it, like, we're going to go back to the front. Yeah. And that's bad, too, you know? Like, that sucks to be exploited. I've been in that position before, and it, like, sucks to be like, well, yeah, I do exist, and I, like, want to be making my art and doing the things, but also, I'm not in a good, like, environment to do that.
Yeah.
Toronto does, like, a diversity and a disability lottery, right?
They do.
I think, like, when
but again, it's like the diversity lottery is like is sort of like almost like here's, you know, we'll pull one or two shows.
Oh yeah.
It's not like it's like let's pull like 10 shows from this.
Which is what it should be. Like, when I first heard about it, I was like, oh, this is such a great idea. Like, what a great way to, like, finally combat how this is. And when I saw there's, like, 2 spots, I was like, out of 100, like, over 130, 50 shows, like, that's That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like I was like, well, they'll probably start with like 5 or 10.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, there's 2.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Good job ticking off your box.
Yeah, I've been thinking for a while that like if I were to run a Fringe festival, it would be only artists of color can apply, and then there's a white lottery.
Yeah.
Everyone would be like, what the what? Like they would just lose their shit. But like one day, that's my goal.
Do it. Now, Shane, we mentioned reviews earlier, and you were like, "Could I flip the table?" So let's talk about what made you want to flip the table.
Well, I just think if you are a publication that puts out a list of shows not to see, that's just gross and a dick move.
Yeah,
huge dick move. Like it's one thing to give a show like a bad review, but then to like just give them an extra little punch in the gut and tell people not to see their show, like put them on the list. Fuck that. Because fuck you now.
Yeah, I think that getting a bad review is not the end of your show because you can use that. Like you can. There's stuff that you can use. I remember a story years ago about somebody who got like they went to Edinburgh and one of the publications gave them 1 star, and so all of their promotion was like, Edinburgh Examiner says a star.
Yeah,
that was like their promotion.
Well, Sealand did that too a couple of years ago. Yeah. Toronto,
and so you can sort of turn it around and make it a thing. And I've seen some shows, news play has played up the fact that there's like division among the reviews and things like that.
Yeah,
it's something that you can do. But then to go and say to add insult to injury that takes away that and say here are the shows not to see. Like,
especially I mean. You know, we've all worked really hard to get here, whether you're local or out of town or whatever. And just to have someone just go, nah, just ignore that.
Yeah.
It's just brutal.
Well, and especially when it was an article, it was definitely that kind of like clickbait content filler of someone just taking going through the list and being like, all right, here's a 2N review, here's a 1N review, and I'll insert that here. Like, it's not even a thought-provoking list. It was just now generating internet content. And you're sort of like, what's the point? You
Absolutely.
know?
And you know, the reviewers were not consulted.
No.
They were not behind it.
Yeah.
It was like they just did it, and a lot of them were shocked by it as well. So I think that you know now has been chastised, but we have to make sure they don't do that shit in the future. I think
have they done it before? Do they do it
they
every year?
Used to do it a long time ago,
right.
I think. I don't know if they did it last year. I don't know.
Edmonton did like a 5 or 10 list of like, I don't know if it was to skip, but it was like of worst shows or something like that too. And it was just so unnecessary. Like you've already reviewed it.
Thing.
Yeah, if you're someone who like doesn't want to take a chance, then you look at the reviews and you don't go see that show. Like you don't need to harp on it.
That's the beauty of Fringe, is that you do expect there to be terrible things, and that is the experience. You know, everyone has had that story of like, I went to see a show, knew nothing about it, it was awful, but that's Fringe.
And you talk about it for years.
Yes, exactly.
But there's also that moment of like, you know what, you're sitting there, you're like, this is so bad, but you know what, I only paid like $11 for this. I can sit here. It's only an hour. Now, I've been in that show when I was like, I only paid $11 for this. It's only an hour, and I didn't pay attention to the fact that it was 90 minutes.
No, 90 minutes kills
you.
You
can feel that. You can feel that minute hand go past the hour, and you're like, in too deep. Oh yeah, okay, I'm gonna be here a little while longer.
Yeah,
but
I feel like I wish, as I was seeing all of this happen to like the go and skip list, I was like, oh, what the fuck. I would personally appreciate, because of the work that I do, if there was a list that was like, hey, here's some oppressive pieces of theater that you shouldn't go see. But it's not like that.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
That's
it's not
a different ballgame.
It's a totally different thing. But, like, a publication would never be like, we're going to take a strong stance against this. Like, they wouldn't. They wouldn't. And that's what, again, bothers me about reviews, is that, like, I can read a review of a show that was, like, so incredibly racist. And yet there's no mention of it. Like, there's no concept or whatever. So, like, that would be a great thing of, like, shows that, like, are racist or misogynist or ableist and all of these different things that would make you feel unwelcome in a space. Yeah. I would love to see a list like that, but that is not the content that.
Because they gathered. I'm sorry. They gathered their was it just their fives as their shows to see the five ends or whatever. And
I think so. Yeah.
But then there's more nuance, because maybe a list of shows that there's division about, and to admit there's other publications, and there's like, here are shows that some reviewers hated and some reviewers loved. Go see them yourself, or here are some shows that will really challenge you. That would also be really awesome to see. But yeah, the whole like skip this show thing is
well, and especially when we're in a climate where Toronto essentially has one print publication and like that holds court in this time of year, then a list like that is huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there are other newspapers, but they don't cover Fringe in the same way that Now does.
Yeah. I will say, to your point about, like, if you were to list a show in that sense, what I do like about reviews, especially since I became a playwright through Fringe, essentially, is that it is that moment when you are so in your box of creation for months at a time that suddenly you have a documentation of, like, this is the impression my show leaves on people. So I love that as a learning tool and as a thing moving forward. Whether they liked it or didn't like it, I look at it and go, when I revisit the script later or when I go on to the next thing, it is good to know that this is what my, like, little snow globe of a world looks like outside of it. And in the case of content that could be oppressive, that I would hope, again, a creator would go, I had no idea in my little world that that's what this meant, you know? But
I would also hope that, I mean, the thing is that, like, that kind of feedback that you're talking about, Madeline, is the kind of thing that happens when somebody who's a theater reviewer might comment on your show, rather than, like, I've done shows in the past that were reviewed by the fashion reviewer because they brought in extra people.
Of course,
or like
the food editor.
The food editor or
real estate guy.
Yeah. So it's like, sometimes you'll get feedback and you're like,
what?
But did you watch my show?
Yeah.
And I would take certain feedback from Steve Fisher or Glenn Sumi that the fashion blogger that they brought in to review shows doesn't really get.
No, I mean, at the same time, I would say, what's your impression of, I am honored when I have audience members that I am the only play they've ever seen. Like, that is also a valuable opinion, and there are people, certainly I think of restaurant coworkers I have, who I'm like, please come see my show. And then they come and they've never been before, and their impressions are even more, there's something, and that's what Fringe allows for, is those opinions where you're like, this is, like, crystal clean, like, nothing is impeding them. They don't have any sort of idea of what theater should or shouldn't be. So that opinion also is kind of beautiful in its own way. But I also appreciate what it's like when you're getting someone and you're like, who holds that power in some way.
I don't know that I would call it power. It's more like they've been doing this so long that they're able to, like, I want constructive feedback.
Yeah.
Don't say in a review, I hated this show. If you hated this show... say why.
Yes.
And make it constructive, not like just I hated the show.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So now last week when we spoke, we'd all had some time to see some shows. Have you guys had more time to see some shows this week? Are there shows that you really liked? Yeah. As of yesterday, I've seen 17 shows.
Whoa, that's good.
Yeah.
But I had to slow down because it was like doing like 3-4 shows in a day for a while there, and then my brain melted, and so I haven't been doing that many after that. So, are there shows that you guys have seen that you didn't mention last week, or that you did mention that you really enjoyed?
Yes, there are. I'm trying to remember what they are. I saw your show. I really liked your show.
Oh, thank you.
Phil.
Thank you, Shane.
Pack Animals, I think I had already seen last week, but that was really good. Untitled number 7 was one of my favourites. Taylor, she's also from Australia. She was really good.
Is she's a poet laureate?
Of Melbourne.
Of Melbourne. Wow. Yeah.
I've heard good things about that one. Yeah.
I saw Untitled number 7 too. I really loved it, and it's great for any, I think, a creator of any type to go to that one. I think, like, Congratulations, I talked about it last week. That's still my favorite.
Yeah.
It's just so funny and warm, and Courtney's such a good performer. And then I just kept being like a weird local Fringe for me. Like, my sisters visited, and then I had my partner down for a while. So I'm like, you guys pick what shows.
Yeah, right.
So I saw a couple, like, that I've already seen, like Pack Animals and Magic Mike, but, like, they're so fun. They're just so fun that it does. I see them again and again. Yeah.
Yeah. I got into the like infamous Jake Epstein Boy Falls from the Sky. I enjoyed it. I was totally into it. And I think another favorite of mine has been Twinsations at the TPM Backspace. That is like totally solid on every level. That is one I would love to see tour Fringes. And it does have a sort of Fringe related plot, but I don't want to spoil it. Yeah, those are the two that come immediately to mind. Yeah.
I talked about Tita jokes last week, but I also talked about Through the Bamboo as part of the like hashtag Filipinx family, or Filipinx Fringe actually, but we've been changing it to family now because we are family. But I actually saw Through the Bamboo, and it was the best show I have ever seen in my life. Whoa. And I like have seen shows on Broadway or whatever, and I was. Everyone was like, what? Like, the Phantom of the Opera on Broadway wasn't as good as Through the Bamboo? And I'm like,
I believe that.
Right.
I believe that, actually. Yeah.
But that back then, that was my show, you know? I was so excited. But yeah, I haven't seen a piece of theater so inventive in so long, with such a simple set, but so fucking Filipino, but it resonates in other audiences of color too, because our cultures and our worldview are very, very similar. And what I appreciate about all the Filipinx Fringe shows is that we are all so different, and we all bring these not new, but like overlooked aspects of Filipinx life. And I just I wept. I wept from I hit a certain point. I was with Bernice Thomas, my director and co-creator, and I'm like, fine. I'm watching and I'm like, and then they turn to me in my ear like, why am I crying right now? And then I'm like, oh, permission, and then for the rest of the show, I'm bawling my eyes out. Then, meeting Byron and Andrea, who are the producers and writers and everything, and we had been talking for many, many months, but, it was just, coming home. Yeah. It was, so fucking fantastic, and I think I'm gonna be changed for a while from seeing that show.
Awesome. Cool. I've heard nothing but good about that show, and I've heard some people say that there should be one of the YA-focused theaters in the city that should
because family friendly.
Pick that up because it's so family friendly.
Oh my god,
absolutely. Shows that I have seen. Oh my goodness, 17 shows. I've honestly been wanting to see the Ballad of Frank Allen since I first saw the pictures from the first time that you did it in Australia, and it is a weird show to pitch. I really quite enjoyed it, and it was fun. I liked the songs, and I liked everything about it. I will also say the Tita jokes also stands up still. After all the shows that I've seen, it really stands up as a best of, and well deserved to be a patron's pick and to get the comedy award as well. So, yeah. Absolutely.
I'm excited to see that troupe in town.
Yeah. So that's awesome. I'm trying to think of what other shows I've seen. It's how many shows have I seen?
You need the programs.
What are the shows not to see?
Let's do it.
I'm just gonna say I haven't seen any shows that I would recommend that people not see.
See?
There you go. See? I've seen nothing but all of the shows that I've seen have been shows that I would tell people go see this.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's not every year, but I would never publicly say, don't go see this show. I would say to my friends, don't go see this show.
No, I would be like, go see it.
Yeah.
We know what kind of audience member Carlin is. She's like, I hated this show. You should see it. Talk about it. Highlights of this Fringe for you guys. What have some of those been? I spoke about mine, and that was the Foxwomen Fuckboys. That was a moment for me. What have been a couple of highlights for you guys?
Well, last night at the awards night, both Tita Jokes and Through the Bamboo won awards. And, in classic Filipino family style, we all ran up to the stage and took pictures of each other. And in a big group. And then we all did pictures of all of us together, which was very rare to get all of us in one spot. And then we line danced later as a group. because that's what we do, I guess. And I am like not a good dancer at all. So I was just like, I was like stumbling over myself. But yeah, I think I've just been reflecting a lot about the community that's been fostered within like artists of color, and the fact that like it's not based in competition, but it's also not based in whiteness. Like it's kind of on a different plane than most of the white shows. And like white people are really good at making community with each other. Yeah. And that it sucks to be on the outside of that. And I think that most white artists don't get it. They don't know that they're leaving us out. Because white culture is very strange. Yeah. But like when artists of color are facing that, they come together in the most beautiful ways and the most like supportive and empowering ways. And I don't think I'm gonna feel that at any other, I mean I hope that I'll feel that at other Fringe festivals, but like what an amazing way to start in this like beautiful community that will do nothing but love each other, and like in spite of all the odds that we face as being like artists of color. Yeah. So yeah.
Awesome. Other highlights?
I don't have a specific moment, but you know what I love about Fringe is talking about like going up to like flyering lines, also working at a restaurant in the Fringe neighborhood. I like that it's a time, it's like being in a big party and you can talk to anyone and do no wrong. Like I've been to parties where you're like the wallflower and you're like, oh fuck, it's gonna take me so much work to go. Like if I go talk to someone, I could totally embarrass myself or be awful. But this is a time where I walk around the city and I talk to strangers endlessly and nothing goes wrong. Nobody like questions me or is like, why are you talking to me? But I think about the various people I've spoken to in line, in audiences, or finally, again, like working shifts and being like having something to engage with customers about, and that's completely genuine, is what I sort of love about this time of year. And then also too, I always love that moment when you're waiting for your tech to let you into the space and you're just chilling with your cast and your stage manager. Yeah, that's another conversation time I really like. So I think it's just, I'll be happy to be silent and not have to engage with the world for a little while after this, but I like the high level of engagement and how there's no falling on your face and embarrassing yourself because everyone's just open, you know?
I'm going to jump in and say that I hate flyering. It sparks so much anxiety in my introvertness that when I literally, before I fly a line, I have to sit around the corner. I basically have to put my head between my knees and like breathe heavily, and then finally go, okay, I'm gonna do it, and get up, and I start at the beginning of the line. But it takes so much effort for me to do that. I can't do it too close to the show. Yeah. And for the last like 4 days, it's I've been getting like, no, my dance card's full, and I'm like, oh, but I didn't need to know that.
Right. Don't tell me.
That doesn't need to be part of this transaction. Just take the flyer, nod, throw it in the recycling when you go in or something. But don't. Yeah. I don't need you to say I'm not going to see your show. Yeah. So, but anyway.
Well, and and I think I hated flyering too, and then I got in the mindset of going up to people and being like, "Can I bother you for a second?" Like it's just being totally honest. And then if people are like, "No," I at least like to end with, what else are you seeing? Like, it just touched me.
Yeah.
I try, that's my approach, is I flip it to be like, okay, if you're going to shut down when I'm throwing down, tell me about you. Yeah. Like, what's your, and then move on, you know. But I feel the same way.
Carlin, highlights.
It's been a great Fringe. It's been cool to have, because every performance is relaxed. Like my house lights are really up, and they're normally up a little bit, and I can see like the first couple rows, which is nice because I do a lot of like reacting off the audience. But they've been like 100% up, and so it's been interesting to see. Like I can always pick out the neurodiverse people because of just how they watch. It's just different. And it's been really nice to see some young people too, like some teenage boys, like just leaned in. So I'm like, it's surprising, but it's amazing. And I have a bit where I talk specifically to parents, and I've had a couple shows where kids start to hug their parents during that part, and it's like, it's been heartbreaking and beautiful, and that's been really nice. Actually, I was a bit nervous about being able to like see everybody, but it's been really wonderful, and makes me think about different parts of the show in different ways. And then just getting that accessibility award last time was
absolutely
really cool. Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah. It's like there's a long, wonderful list of people who were nominated, and it's just been 3 years of lots of work on the show, and it was created specifically for that. Like when I read it, I was like, oh, that's this show. Like that's something that like can because it's been criticized for being a TED Talk. It's been praised for being like a TED Talk. Some people like it, some people don't. Some people think it's too much ADD. But like we can't take anything out, because if we take something out, we're risking someone not relating to something. So we're very adamant that we have to touch on each symptom of ADHD, at least in the bare minimal way, and to take one thing out to make the story better will risk not connecting with someone.
Is there a certain amount of irony to somebody saying there's too much ADD in a show about ADHD?
Yeah, a little bit.
Like it's a little bit.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. But also, like, I know people just want, at the end of the day, they just want a good story, and hopefully we have that too. But so it was nice to have an award specifically for that, and I was really shocked and thrilled that they picked
awesome.
it. Yeah,
awesome. Shane?
I think for me, it's just been some of the connections that I've made with other artists at this festival, just meeting other like-minded artists, and I've had a few meetings with other companies just about the work that we do, and found some cool people around the place. And just audience as well have been really nice and receptive, and just met some cool peeps.
Yeah, nice. So does everybody still have shows left?
Yeah, I'm closed today.
You closed today? What time is your show today?
1:30.
1:30. Okay, we're going to make sure this goes up before that.
Yes.
My show today is at 1, and then I have one left tomorrow. I think, Madeline, you have one at 12:45.
I have 12:45, and then Red Nose closes tomorrow.
Okay, so Newsplay closes today, and Red Noses closes tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah.
I close tonight at 8, I think.
Okay.
That's a good time.
Telling people it's 7, but I think it's 8.
So the lesson here, guys, is take a look at your fringe list to see when the ADHD project closes.
It's 8.
Shane?
We've got one left tonight at 8:15.
Okay, that's a good time as well on a Saturday.
Yeah, it should be a nice closing show, I hope.
Nice. Yeah. And then when do you head off to your next stop?
This time tomorrow we'll be on the road to the Peg.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you driving? You're flying?
We are driving. There's 3 of us in a car. We're stopping in Thunder Bay. I'm super excited.
Yeah. Thunder Bay is I remember years ago running into you at some spot in Thunder Bay.
That's right. We did. Yeah.
It was like after the endless green of that north of Toronto, where you're just like, I want to see a color other than green.
Yeah, where it's just like a screensaver that just over and over again. I'm like, is there anything new that Canada has on this road?
The answer is no. It's just trees.
Yeah.
I was so happy to get to the prairies.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody has ever said that.
I was about to say.
Yeah. Who has never driven that road before?
Yeah.
Monica, you're going to Winnipeg?
Yeah, I'm flying on Monday.
Me too. What time?
Oh, I can't remember. So afternoon.
Check your flyer.
Mine's like 8:30 a.m. I think I'm gonna miss it.
You're gonna miss your
You
flight?
just know you're just like I'm just not gonna make it. Like, I just know it.
Oh, no.
All right, guys, tweet at Carlin that not to miss her flight on Monday morning.
I don't know until Wednesday. I got
we can all help her. It's an expensive ticket change.
Yeah, what are you, an eccentric billionaire?
Yeah. Well, she's doing Fringe, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
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 She's got a fancy credit card.
Yeah. Well, you guys who are traveling, though, I would like to connect with you guys again later on and do like a remote where we can like individually talk about how the tour is going and things like that, and I'll put them all together in another show. I definitely want to do that, and a few other people as well, just to get a sense of because I know the tour can be exhausting.
Yeah. On that, I just want to say then to your listeners, please remember me how I am now. Remember me how I was when I was young and happy.
And I think that a lot of, when you only do like your local fringe, you think that that's exhausting.
Yeah.
Right? And people who haven't taken a show on the road don't realize that you do this for 12 days. And then you travel, and then you do another one for 12 days, and it doesn't end for like months. And how you survive that is like the trick.
I just miss my bathroom so much.
Right?
Like I'm like sneaking into other people's bathroom trying to avoid their schedule, and I'm like, oh no, I got so much to do, and like the stress of not having your own toilet is the worst.
I will agree with that. Anytime that I've billeted, I'm like, this is misery. Thank goodness for people who put you up, but I'm just like, I just want like my space. I don't want to see other people, and I want to use the bathroom when I want to use it, and not worry about other people.
As long as I'm gonna.
It is those little things that you really miss on those trips, but yeah. So definitely we'll check in later on, and because I really want to know how your fringes are going, and we will remember Shane when he was happy. And,
I feel like it's already gone in me. I'm just like halfway point.
Do you get a break after that?
No, I've had the only break I got in the tour has happened already. It was after the first festival when I wasn't tired yet.
Yeah, no, that's not a great spot to put it.
No, we're just back to back all the way till the end of September now.
Just so that in case people wanted to follow, you guys who are traveling, where are you going to? You're going from here to Winnipeg, and then
Winnipeg, Saskatoon, Edmonton, Victoria, with a different show, and Vancouver.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Carlin?
Winnipeg, Saskatoon, and then different show for Victoria, Vancouver, and then Yellowknife.
Oh, sick.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Winnipeg, Calgary, Edmonton, Victoria, Vancouver, again with 2 different shows.
Nice. Awesome. All right, well, we'll look forward to hearing how those go. Thanks so much, you guys. It's been a lot of fun. Thanks for coming on the Roundup, and I hope that you have a great last couple of days at the Fringe.
I'm going to sleep on your couch now.
This has been a Homebody Productions production.